All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a review. Haven't done one of these in a while. So today we're going to review South of Midnight, boys and girls. So let's get started right away with the cons. Before we do that, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and share the video. Sorry about that. I had to. So some of the cons here. The con. It's kind of a niche pick, but I have to do it. This game is advertised as an action-adventure game, but it honestly is more of a narrative, story-driven game. And I think that's where it kind of got me out of the loop when I was playing this game. It's a fantastic game, right? It's phenomenal. And honestly, I was expecting a little bit more of action-adventure just because that's how, it was advertised and that's how we saw in the trailer. But that doesn't take away from it. It's still a fantastic game. Personally, I was not expecting to enjoy this game as much as I did, but this game is a fantastic game regardless of it. It's just a little bit of a con because people might think it's an action adventure game and they'll start playing it and realize it's a narrative game slash story driven game, and they'll be kind of like, I thought there was going to be more action or more adventure, right? And that's just a little niche pick. It doesn't really matter. I think you would notice what type of game it is within the first hour and 30, even the first 40 minutes. So it gives you enough time to refund the game. But yeah, that's one of the little cons. Nothing big, nothing serious. Just because the game is so fantastic, I'm not really going to consider it, a major con, right? Now, one of the actual cons for this game is that this game, the first half, is very different to the second half. What do I mean by that? The first half is good. The combat is good. The platforming is good. The story is good. But the second half of the game, past the 5-hour, 6-hour mark, it's just fantastic. The ending of this game, the second half of the game is just really good, guys. Had they kept that same level of quality in the second half and put that in the first, honestly, this game would have been a 9 out of 10, right? Or an 8.8 out of 10. But it's a little bit weird because many games nowadays, they'll start fantastic and just the ending, they can't execute it. Here's the other way around. The start is a little bit slow and the ending is just fantastic. Now, I will say this. I kind of understand what they were going for, and it's another con that I'm going to be talking about. But throughout the whole game, they were introducing enemies and abilities and power and level design, etc. So at the end of the game, they were still introducing new enemies to fight, right? And this really, it kept the game fresh. You didn't know what to expect, but I couldn't enjoy some of these new enemies and new designs that they added until the end. And that was only maybe for 1 hour, 30 minutes, so it wasn't that big. And honestly, I think that made the game suffer. Had they introduced them a little bit earlier, I think the game would have been a lot better. I would have been able to enjoy those elements that they've added, but because they gave it to me so, that's what she said, so late into the game's, overall story, I wasn't able to fully enjoy it, right? That is an actual con. It's just the second half is so much better than the first half. And the first half is good, right? It's good. But the second half, it's just fantastic. So, I don't know. It's a con personally for me. But regardless, someone's going to say, no, I played everything and both the beginning and end are great, are good. That's fine. Personally, for me, I think the second half was much better than the first half. And the first half is still really good. Just the second half is just on another level. Okay? Now, another con. I've mentioned it before. Enemy design. It's not a con, but it's more of the introduction of enemies. Some of them were introduced so late into the game that I wasn't able to enjoy it. Like, I really was not able to enjoy it to say, wow, this really, I could enjoy what this enemy does or how to do this. Again, the AI or how you fight a lot of the enemies. It's not super complicated because it's narrative story driven. So the action adventure things takes like a little bit of a side, takes the sidelines for a little bit. Well, for most of the game, but I wasn't able to actually enjoy it when I fought them, right? So it's a little bit sad just because I really wish I would have been able to fight a lot of these enemies earlier on. I think it would have been a little bit more challenging because I wouldn't have as many upgrades and powers. But again, it's still a fantastic game, right? It's still a fantastic design. But that's another con. It has to be a con separate from the one I mentioned before, and that's that some elements were so late into the game that I wasn't able to fully enjoy it, right? And that's honestly two of the major cons, and there's one more which I kind of feel is a big one, why I can't give it a higher ranking, at least for me, rating, sorry, and that is story, right? And it's a con. I'm not going to spoil anything in this video. It's not, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to play it, but the story, they basically wanted to make sure everything was tied up, right? They did not want to leave any loose ends there, and I can respect that. But it basically came at the end of the game. It did the very not horrible thing, but like it did a very common mistake that books and movies do and video games now, and that is they told us instead of showing us, right? And there's no problem with telling someone what's going on and how the game should be, but at one point, I don't want you to tell me, just show me. And the story really wanted you to make sure that everything was like tidy, everything was settled, there was no loose ends. This is it. Nothing was up for imagination except the last scene that we see in the game could be interpreted in a couple of different ways, but even then it's kind of like more linear. So at the end of the day, the story in that aspect, it could be a pro, it could be a con, depending on how you view it. Personally, it's a con. Everything was just tidy, nothing was left for imagination, and a lot of elements were told to you and not shown, right? Sure, there's a lot of notes that you could read, a lot of information, a lot of lore that you pick up throughout the world, but even then, it's telling you, it's not showing you. So, a con. But let's get to the positives now. Positives, story-wise. The story is actually pretty decent. Nothing phenomenal, nothing that's going to say like this changes how video games should be written. It's just a good story. It really is. I liked it, made sense. I never had any conflict. I never got lost. It's a really good story. Something you probably played before or heard before or seen before, etc. It's just a good story, right? Enemy design, very unique. I have seen similar Lovecraftian things because it is, Lovecraftian. Well, not really. It's based on mythology, so can't really say like mythology is Lovecraftian. But the enemies, very cool. I love the design. Again, some of them I wasn't able to enjoy them as much just because they were shown very late into the game. But overall, enemy design was amazing. Boss design. There's technically 2 boss fights, 3, and a lot of people aren't happy with the last boss fight. I understand why. I'm not going to spoil it, but I can understand why. Let's just say instead of fighting the boss, you fight the minions. That's all. So I'm not going to spoil any more on that. The other 2 boss fights, pretty good. Pretty fun. I had a blast with them. So yeah, 3 boss fights, technically 3 boss fights, and then just like 1 platforming boss, I suppose. But regardless of that, all the boss fights, pretty good design. I liked it. I had fun with them. Very unique, very enjoyable, right? Overall, this game is incredible. And the enemy design, the boss design, the story, and everything else is great. But I will say this, it's not for me. I'm more into adventure and action, obviously what I thought the game was. And that's why, at least for me, in the ranking that I'm going to give it, I'm gonna have to give it 2 rankings because I have to be honest and I want to be as unbiased as I possibly can be, right? Overall, this game for me gets a 7.6 out of 10. You know, that's the ranking I feel comfortable with. I think this is what the game deserves. Just because of that little situation of it had it been more promoted, had it actually been told to me that it's a narrative story game, I think I would have given it higher, right? But because I actually came into the game thinking it was an action adventure game, I have to give it a 7.6. It's still a great game, but I feel more comfortable giving it that score. Now, for the type of game that it is, a narrative story-driven game, it's honestly phenomenal. I'm going to give it an 8.6 or an 8.5 out of 10. For a narrative story-driven game, it's honestly fantastic. It is a really good game. I recommend picking it up if you love those story-driven games. It's fantastic. Honestly, one of the better games of this year, right? It's not going to win Game of the Year because there's a lot of heavy games that are coming out that came out and are going to come out this year. But it's still a great pick. Honestly, if you're doubting yourself, pick up the game. It's fantastic. I know it's a AA game, but I'm going to say the quality of this game is so incredible that it honestly should be classified as a AAA game. You know, it's really good. It's a really good game. So I feel comfortable giving it those 2 scores. A score of like for an everyday gamer, you know, or casual gamer, or like just if you're not sure if this is your type of game, 7.6. And if you're into story-driven games, narrative games, I'm going to give it an 8.5, 8.6 out of 10. So yeah, guys, pick up the game, play it, tell me how you feel, leave a comment if you played it, what were your thoughts on it, and I will catch you next time. Peace.